For the last 8 to 10 months, Chelsea Football Club have been trying to move forward. In the forward direction is where they've wanted to move. But they've been rocked time and time again. But that's, let's say, external factors. But here's something that Chelsea have done by their own doing now, and they've gone all the way back.
All the way back to 2019.
All the way back to 2019, and to the man, the oldest possible Chelsea figure, let's say, one can think of at this time. Frank Lampard.
Correct.
A legendary player, a legendary goal scorer for the club. Somebody who has already had a stint at Chelsea. After everything that Chelsea have tried to do and achieve, let's say, rather not achieve, I should say, they've gone back to the man who has, in many ways, failed at the job the last time he was appointed for it. Just that there was a different manager back then, but now comes in another owner, a new owner, but he's gone back and probably made the same mistake. Well, Shane and I are here to talk about whether or not Chelsea have indeed made, or rather I should say, shot themselves in the foot for the second time perhaps, because there were many questions being asked about Frank Lampard's appointment the last time around as well that had happened. Shane, let's just open this up by saying, let me in fact, pick your brains as to what really you make of this appointment.
It's baffling. It's baffling. It's utterly baffling because, okay, I understand you wanted to sack Potter. I don't think the results were going in his favor. But at this point, the season is all but done. It's over.
Yeah.
Finished. Whichever way you look at it, the result of it, the season is finished. There's nothing you have to gauge. Yes, you can say you have an outside chance of maybe making a run to the Champions League title, but no, not with the way things are looking right now. So, in essence, all you have is 10 games in the league. Try and get a strong finish, maybe climb out of the bottom of the table, move towards 8th, 7th, 6th. That's the best you can hope for. That's not where Chelsea wanted to be. It's not where they should be, but it's where you are. And okay, I get it, you needed an interim coach.
Yeah.
But would you go to the man who you sacked last time around because he had left you 9th in the table, and a man who was in his last job fired because he was taking Everton too close to the drop? A place where they're still in danger of, by the way.
Yeah, so they're clearly not out of the woods yet.
They're nowhere near out of the woods. In fact, if you look at the relegation table right now,
there's hardly anything separating teams that are placed 12, 13 and teams that are at the bottom.
2 or 3 points.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
So that was the kind of precarious position, and it's the definition of failing upwards because he was at Chelsea, a club who at that point no one knew it had a squad good enough to win the Champions League. Went to Everton, middling ambitions, fighting relegation, and from there you're back at Chelsea, even on an interim basis.
Yeah.
They could have just stuck with Bruno Salter. I don't understand why they felt the need to just bring in someone just for the sake of it. Take your time. Look, I understand what people are going to say.
And if I'm not wrong, it's Andy Cole who's the assistant as far as...
Not Andy, Ashley.
Ashley Cole. Yeah. Ashley Cole.
Yeah. And Ashley Cole makes sense. Another person who has worked with Lampard in his coaching staff.
In the past.
With Derby. When Lampard was the manager at Chelsea, Cole was one of the youth academy coaches at that point too. So there is prior there. And I understand, look, you're bringing in, by the way, most of the staff, incidentally, and this is such a weird sort of, let's say, arrangement, that the support staff is pretty much the Graham Potter sports support staff, and Lampard is coming.
Because he also brought in his crew from Brighton.
Exactly. Bruno Salter, in fact, was a player there.
Yeah.
So,
yes, in fact, he was there when they first got promoted to 2017.
He was one of their defenders.
In 2017,
yes. So you could have just stuck with Salter. At this point, I don't think any Chelsea fans expecting anything from this season. But it just shows how scattergun the approach is at this point. It's like, okay, we need an interim manager, but who? Okay, you have this louder player, out of job, legendary player, former player, currently a manager. Let's just go to him. It doesn't make much sense.
Yeah.
It really doesn't.
I was just thinking about, of course, there's a lot of talk about Nagelsmann and his availability, Enrique and his availability, and of course, for a long time, it was believed that Chelsea were in touch with both these gentlemen.
Correct.
Now, where I'm stuck as to, or where I'm trying to understand what Chelsea have exactly done here is either those two guys were very, very clear that we're not joining a club at this point in time. A club that's all but it's bound to finish just about in somewhere in the middle of the table.
Correct.
That doesn't go well on their CV. That's point number one. Two, of course, they're like, we don't want any baggage of this season anyway. We want to start from a season afresh.
You want to start with a full pre-season.
Yeah.
You want to maybe make a few changes, because I think one thing we can all agree on: Chelsea's squad right now is bloated.
Yeah.
It is bloated beyond measure. So you need to get rid of some players, and the squad does need just a little bit of refreshment in maybe an area or two.
Yeah.
At most, maybe a couple of signings. But even those couple of signings can be important ones for the manager to get right. Because remember, I think last time around, Tuchel did get some players he wanted.
Yes, but he got only 4 months to play with them.
Yeah.
Then you had Potter. You gave only another 4 or 5 months only to play with all these players that he got in January and
Accommodate them.
Accommodate them. And now, of course, there's a bigger problem as to whether or not the incoming manager will be okay with this present bloated squad that Chelsea
He's not
have.
going to be.
And I do sort of, very much agree. It is a very bloated squad right now, and there is. You can't say there's a lot of dead wood, maybe that you.
I don't think you can use the word dead wood, but
Yeah.
there's definitely a lot of players who would be looking elsewhere. In fact, that brings me to something which Graham Potter did, which stunned me. In fact, I remember at that point, deadline day, Chelsea trying to seal the signature of Enzo Fernandez. You're trying to move on Hakim Ziyech, who's made it pretty clear he has no future. A loan move falls through because they sent off faxed apparently the wrong paperwork, not once, not twice, but thrice, and with no signatures. So it comes unsigned, the deadline is missed. Ziyech was in Paris.
Yeah.
He was in Paris, he was in the Paris Saint-Germain offices waiting for the arrival. Didn't happen, and then to then really compound just how crazy all of this was, very next match he's back into the squad. I'm like, what? This guy wanted to leave.
Yeah.
Why is he in the squad? That was the kind of muddled decision making. And see, I feel sorry for Potter at some level. It's not an easy thing to do. But why would you be reintegrating a player who made clear he wants to leave and who most likely is not going to have any future come the summer anyway?
He did exactly what Aubameyang did.
Yeah.
Almost all but joined the Barcelona camp. He was almost training with them, and then that they had to, out of embarrassment, make sure that the move happened.
Exactly. Of course, this time around though, the thing was that he was there with Chelsea's blessing.
Yes.
So it was all but a done deal. But because of the chaos surrounding them trying to register Fernandes, which obviously seemed a bigger priority at that point.
Yeah.
They missed out on this. You reintegrate him. It makes no sense. And truth be told, I think there's going to be a lot of trimming, but that trimming arguably will not start until they get a manager. Until they get a manager.
But then speaking more about Frank Lampard and what he has done. Let's say the two plum clubs, let's say in Premier League that he's managed. He's managed Everton for a sizable time, I would say. And then of course at Chelsea also he did spend a season and a half. At
least with Everton, I feel sorry for him because he was dealt, I think, a very harsh hand.
Yes.
Remember, he replaced Rafael Benitez, and Benitez too, by the way, was able to spend no money because.
But that's not the case with him.
No, he barely signed any players. A lot of the players he signed were either loans or frees because Everton were operating under very tight constraints. Remember, recently, I think you remember there was news that Everton had been hit with FFP breach charge.
Yes.
Because they knew it was coming, so they couldn't spend any money.
Yeah.
So whatever.
But he still had the likes of Richarlison and a couple of others.
Richarlison was sold, not bought.
Oh yes.
Richarlison was sold, and one of the main reasons.
I think he really wanted to keep him, but then it was for the FFP reasons that he was sold. Yes.
So that is the problem. I feel bad for him at Everton because it was a no hope situation. You're seeing it even with Sean Dyche. He's kind of struggling a little bit. It's not that easy because you have a lot of players there who think they should be playing in a different place.
Yeah.
A lot of players who probably don't want to be there, who don't want to be stuck in a relegation battle, who've never been stuck in a relegation battle.
I think it was with Gordon as well that they wanted to keep him. He was very excited about Gordon, but again,
and Anthony Gordon they also had to sell because he refused to sign a new deal. He had I think 2 years or 1 year left in his deal, so they said okay, we'll take a hit and sell him now rather than miss out on losing him for nothing.
Yeah.
So that was the problem. Everton, it was a no loss situation. Even someone like Sean Dyche, who, let's be fair, plays football from a prehistoric era, but at least
but gets the job done.
Yes, but even he's struggling to get the job done, which shows Everton was a no hope situation. But again, what he did at Chelsea doesn't exactly paint him in a very favourable light as a manager. Yes, maybe there's a great manager in there somewhere.
Because he got the backing last time around as well, not like he didn't.
No, I remember 2020, after the 19-20 season was done, there was a lot of investment in the squad. Timo Werner came in, Hakim Ziyech came in, Kai Havertz came in. You signed, who else? There were a couple of others. You signed Edouard Mendy that season. You brought in Thiago Silva on a free transfer. You brought in Ben Chilwell.
That's a lot of players.
A lot of expenditure.
You spent a lot on Chilwell, if I'm not wrong.
50 mil.
45 million, 50 million.
50 mil was his thing. Although he's proven to be a good signing. But again, that's the thing. It's not like there wasn't investment made that year. There were players brought in and he just couldn't get the job done. And it's no coincidence that once someone like Tuchel came, came in, he got them so much more organized.
Yeah.
Because he was able to get a shape that worked best for the players.
Yeah, why
at his
Tuchel was
disposal.
sacked will always be a mystery, and
I think it'll be one of the worst decisions.
Yeah, nobody will ever seem to sort of get that. As much as, let's say, the reappointment of Frank Lampard, because truth be told, Frank Lampard hasn't done anything worthy enough in his managerial career, I must add over there, to be able to get the call again from Chelsea.
The only reason he gets it is because he's a Chelsea legend.
Yes.
Simple as.
He does say that, and I think when he was unveiled again, he said that I'm Chelsea through and through and I'm ready. And of course, you expected him to say all of that, nothing new over there.
Yeah.
But then, Frank Lampard, the player, we all remember him very well.
Great.
Exactly, a certain legend of the football club. But Frank Lampard, the manager, there are big questions mark over his
how he can do
credentials.
that. Exactly. And to be told, I think he got the call too early. I don't blame him for taking it. If I were in his position, I'd do it too.
Yeah.
But I think a few years, maybe in the lower leagues of football, wouldn't harm his prospects necessarily. And you can see what happens to a lot of these managers when they get a call that they're not ready for. Funnily enough, a person who he competed with for a midfield spot all his life, Steven Gerrard, faced a similar problem. At Rangers, he had the advantage of they spent a lot of money, and Celtic were kind of reeling from having lost Brendan Rodgers.
But then even he didn't spend a lot of time, right? Which is why you saw not a lot. Exactly, which is why you saw what happened at Aston with him. Yes, couple of good results at the start. He had Coutinho to get those results also for him.
Beyond that, nothing.
But beyond that, nothing. And then that sack was inevitable in many ways.
Especially considering the outlay Aston Villa had put in. Remember, this is Aston Villa we're talking about, newly promoted. They had got that nice check from selling Jacques Grealish.
Yeah.
They spent money and it just wasn't.
But you know what this also tells me about the way Todd Boehly has operated so far, and what let's say Chelsea are thinking at the moment is, because this is by no means a progressive sort of a move, I would say.
No.
This has only taken, and this is, by the way, I think this is an admission on the part of the management that we have forfeited for this season. We expect nothing. This is just about plugging in a hole right now. We want an interim manager. Frankie is available.
Let's get him in.
Because Nagelsmann and both Enrique, it's going to take some time to figure that thing out. So let's just do whatever can be done. There's nothing much that can be salvaged anyway from
at this
season.
point. Correct. I think you're right. You're absolutely correct. I don't think this is a progressive move in the least. Going back is never progressive, and in fact you've seen that. I'll just quote off some examples.
Going back to a Mourinho can still be progressive in some way.
Not really. Even then it wasn't. It was guaranteed success, but it was short term.
You would like to bring in managers who brought you success in the past, but with Lampard that wasn't the case too.
Exactly. He got what, FA Cup final, 4th place, and that's it. That's it. That's it as far as his credentials go. At least although there are a lot of very strange ones. Like when you're talking about going back, a lot of people say the two people you should never go back to, your ex and your ex football club. Never go back to them. But there have been plenty of cases. Chelsea themselves, by the way, have had the same interim manager twice. Goose Hiddink.
Yes.
Goose Hiddink, and by the way, Goose Hiddink, the first time he was interim manager, won the FA Cup. Second time around was not so successful. He replaced Mourinho.
Well, you had interim managers win you the Champions League also.
Exactly. Correct. Roberto Di Matteo.
Yes.
But this, again, it just seems like, we need a stabilizing figure. Someone popular with the match-going fans. You note for a fact.
Yes, absolutely.
Frank Lampard.
No doubt about that. But that at this time, that emotion alone will not be enough to get Chelsea to wherever they want to get at the moment. For now, I'd like to believe they'd want to get away from that, from that 9-10 spot that they've been stuck in for a while now. And probably, as Shane had earlier said, hope that they can get as close to the 6th spot, because it looks difficult to breach, or to get past that 6th place spot at the moment, and that's all that Chelsea can hope for. Of course, there's that game against Real Madrid that they have to prepare for.
Dreading Benzema.
That's the only route, let's say, left for Chelsea to make it to Europe next year. Otherwise, it's not happening through the Premier League route. So, having said that, Frank Lampard has been chosen as the man in charge for the next couple of months left in this season. Whether or not that's a move that bodes well for Chelsea or not, we've had our say. Let us know in the comment section what you have to say about that. For now, that's Shane Dias. My name is Harshit Ahuja. Thank you so much for watching this video on Sports Today.